The next session on our program before we take our lunch break, it's also another important session on AI revolution for non-profits. AI revolution for non-profits. The last 2 years or so, 3 years, we have been inundated by so many AI platforms. How do we leverage these platforms for our advantage? How do we utilize them for the good of our organizations? It is very important. And to take us through this very important area, we have a gentleman who is a seasoned technology consultant with the AI and data consulting team at Deloitte. He has over 8 years experience in providing digital solutions for organizations across Africa. With educational background in computer science, mentoring, evaluation, and learning, he has developed data science systems and technology tools for programs in sectors such as energy, agriculture, entrepreneurship. Ladies and gentlemen, I have another honor of inviting upstage Augustine Kaah, who will take us through this very important. A round of applause for Augustine. AI revolution for NGOs. Thank you, Augustine.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So it's an honor to be here to walk you through AI revolution for non-profits. Somewhere December or November last year, Deloitte, together with NCBU, did a training for non-profits. I'm sure a lot of you were there for that training. So within that training, I did technology for monitoring and evaluation. But today, we are delving deeper into AI. So how AI is revolutionizing the non-profit space. Please, can I get the slides up? Thank you. So for our outline today, we are going to look at 3 key things. The first one is what is artificial intelligence. We've heard a lot about AI out there in the news, but then what is AI? So we are going to talk about AI and why now? Why is everyone talking about AI now? So we'll be looking at that, and then we go deeper and talk about AI for non-profit organizations. So this session will be mostly use cases that are very practical, that you can implement in your organizations. Then we also talk about AI for the SDGs. So when I was speaking at presentations, she spoke about the 17 SDGs. So we'll be looking at some of the use cases of AI in all these SDG areas, and then we look at question and answers. So we move on to the first one. So what is AI? So to put it in simple terms, AI is just the science of making machines do things that human beings are supposed to do. Things that involve thinking. Alright? So if a human being is supposed to sit down and look at documents and make decisions out of it, now we have computers doing this kind of task. And that is artificial intelligence. AI started a long while ago, but then it was in the last 3 years that AI started making the waves in the news. And as a result of that, the majority of the data that we have now, about 90% of it was created in the last 3 years. Because you have generative AI, which is creating a lot of data. And a lot of this data that is being created are unstructured data, which is very technical. So when you talk about the structured and unstructured, the structured data is the data that you find in tables, so columns and rows, simply put. But then the unstructured data, they don't have a specific format, so images, PDF documents, Excel documents, Word documents, these are the unstructured data. And a lot of these information are now coming from the generative AI space. So a lot of data is now being created in the AI space. So we are estimating that by the end of this year, which is 2025, we should have about 80% of the world's data being unstructured data, because AI is creating a lot of this information. And AI has also led to now a lot of companies moving their information to the cloud because AI feeds on data. And the data centers that we have around may not be enough to contain all this information. So now a lot of companies are moving into the cloud, and that's also making AI go faster. Next slide. So let's look at a simple journey of AI. So AI started way back in the 1940s. I'm sure people will be surprised, but yeah, computers started doing things that human beings should have been doing from the 1940s. So in 1940, that was the analog era. Computers were made to do simple calculations and solve mathematical equations. That was AI because a human being would have sat down to think about the question and solve it. But then a computer was able to do that kind of calculation. So that was the beginning of AI. Then we moved to the experimental era. So this was where the first chatbot was created, which was called Elisa. So now this chatbot was able to interact with a human being. So the same way you interact with someone sitting by you, now a chatbot was created, and it was able to interact with human beings, and that was in 1964. Then we moved on into the knowledge era, where in 1997, IBM was able to create a bot that was able to play chess with the world chess champion. And those who play chess, you know chess requires a lot of thinking. But here's the case, a computer was able to beat the chess champion. That should tell you the computer is getting smarter. Then we now move to the modern era, and that is where we are currently. So with the data that was there, computers started learning on the data. So we came up with the deep learning, machine learning, and now with the knowledge that computers have gained, computers are able to generate information. So that's where we have the Gen AI, which came up in 2022. So that's where people started making a lot of noise about AI, because now AI can create content that human beings will spend so much time creating. Looking at the future, so where we are right now is where AI is able to create some of this information. But then the future, which we are almost there, because now we've seen people creating videos online using AI. And sometimes it's difficult to even identify the ones that are created by AI and the original ones. So very soon, you have AI creating a full movie that it would have taken humans a lot of time to create. AI creates all this information. Similarly, AI can also create applications. So if you have a problem in your organization that you need a software for, you can just let AI create it. And that's the future that we are getting into. So you wouldn't be spending so much time, about 5 months, trying to create a software, but then feeding your information to the AI, it can create the system for you. So that's the future that we are looking at. So let's talk a little bit about the generative AI, because that's what is making the waves now. So simply put, the generative AI, it creates content, like text, audio, video, all sort of content that a human being would have spent time to create. AI is now creating it. And that's the generative AI. So if you can see over here, we have images, code, videos. All these ones are being created by AI. So that's just an overview of AI. Now we are going to talk about how AI impacts non-profits. And I'm sure that's the area that would interest you the most. So, for the benefit of AI to non-profit organizations, we are looking at 5 key areas. The first one is the improved fundraising. We all need funds to support our programs, and we need ways and means of improving our chances of getting the funding. But how do we let AI help us with these fundraising activities? There are lots of donors out there who are ready to give, and they have areas that they focus on. But I'm sure it will take you a lot of time to sit down and read through all these areas that they are going through to be able to pick which donor can give you sponsorship. You can actually use AI to search the online portals where the donors put their information, to look at the current situations going on around the world, and AI can combine all this information and point you that go to this donor is currently investing in the education. And these are the use cases of things that the donor is currently doing. So if you also have an education intervention, you can easily go to that donor, put your bid forward, and your chances of getting the sponsorship is very high. The next one is the enhanced efficiency and productivity. People think that AI is coming areas, put it in an Excel document or in a database, and that reduces the amount of time that you spend doing your work. This will now leave enough room for you to focus on tasks that the AI cannot do, tasks that require more thinking by humans, and then you can free up enough space. Same thing for recruiting your volunteers. You can also use AI to just run through their profiles, look at key areas, and then give you a report for you to make your decision. The third one is improved data analytics and insights. I'm sure a lot of you sitting here have data from previous years of operation. But the question is, how are you using the data? You have data sitting with you, but you are not using the data. So with AI, it can actually learn from the data that you have and help you make decisions. Insights that you've never thought of, AI can actually help you get that insight. Then the fourth one is improved communication and outreach. So AI can also scan through the internet, looking at people's sentiments, what others are talking about, what the donors are also talking about, and point you to the right direction that, okay, there is a current trend going on, so if you want to put a message out there, your message should be about this. This would have been a job that someone would spend a lot of time sitting down to do, but with AI, it can easily be done. The last one is optimized program delivery and measuring impact. So when you are running your programs, you can use AI to help you right from the planning stage to the end. So AI can help you with planning your intervention. So looking at the current situations going around, what are the kind of interventions that you put in place to help with the situation? And then during the delivery, with your data collection, data cleaning, and reporting, AI can feed into all these ones. So these are some of the areas that AI can impact non-profit organizations. So in the subsequent slides, we will now be looking at use cases of how AI is impacting the non-profit organizations. So the first scenario we have here is predictive analysis for scenario planning and impact assessment. All right. So AI-driven predictive models can forecast potential outcomes of different interventions and predict the likely outcomes. So the example here is a health organization that's trying to use predictive analytics to model the impact of various vaccination strategies, allowing them to optimize their program design. So they want to distribute vaccines to a locality. But before they do that, they want to know what are the possible outcomes. So they feed an AI with a lot of information. So some of the information will be the demographic data, the vaccination coverage data, the efficiency data. All this information will be given to the AI, and then you give the AI a command. So the AI can now go through all this information and tell you some of the possible outcomes. So for this example, the strategy that the AI is proposing based on the data available is to do a mass vaccination campaign. That is for this intervention. And the predicted outcome is that the total vaccination coverage of 85% of the population will be achieved within 6 months. And all this information will definitely come from what you feed the AI with, because the AI knows the population within the area and also from previous experiences how quickly vaccines were distributed. So the AI will analyze all this and then tell you the possible outcomes. So the recommendation here is that enhance logistical support with mobile vaccination units. This is the suggestion from the AI, but it's not mandatory that you take it, but at least it's opening up your mind to the possibilities out there. So if you are making any plans, you know that these can happen. Now let's look at the next one. So that's also for AI for systematic reviews. And this one, AI can automate the process of systematic reviews by sifting through vast amounts of literature to identify relevant studies and summarize key areas. So for example, An organization that is using AI to conduct systematic review of educational interventions to identify what works best in different contexts. So this is what the organization is trying to do. So what do you do next? Give the AI the data, the journals, all the literature, everything that you have, that you would have spent time to go through. You feed all that information to the AI. Then give the AI the command and tell it exactly what you want to be done. So based on this intervention, so based on this scenario, the intervention we are getting is to use play-based learning approaches. That is what the AI is recommending. And the effectiveness is that it's highly effective in improving cognitive and social skills in children aged between 3 and 5. So the AI is making this suggestion based on data, because it's looked at previous years, what was done, what was achieved. You would have spent a lot of time going through all this information, but now the AI is able to do this for you with ease. Then the contextual factors. So greatest impact is observed in lower income urban settings where structured schooling is limited. So with all this information, you have a clear picture of where you are going, what you are going to get out of your intervention. And this is one powerful way that AI will support your operations. The next one is an AI chatbot for data queries. So I made mention initially that you have a lot of data sitting there that you are not able to get insight from. But what you can actually do is to have an AI chatbot connected to the data. So it could be data from 10 years of operation or 5 years of operation connected to external data sources. And then you have a chatbot there that you can easily interact with. And this chatbot is really important for people in executive positions because they do not have the time to go through all these data trying to find information. So they can just sit behind the computer, give a command, and the chatbot will go through the data and pick whichever information that you need for you. Similarly, you could also give your donors a platform like this, so that the donors know that, oh, the money that they are giving out, they are actually getting the results that they need. And that's the trust that donors need. If they are able to see that the money they are giving out is yielding the results, then it motivates them to give more. So always make sure you let your donors have access to the insight from your report. So for this one, the generative AI-powered NLP model can understand and interpret queries and requests in real time and provide relevant feedback. So you have a program that you are running, so based on the indicators and then the data collected, it can just give you the information. So for this user, the user was chatting with the AI and said, how many SMEs have received training in the last 3 months? So if your intervention is to give out training to some SMEs, you just ask the AI, how many SMEs have been trained within the last 3 months? And of course, this will come from your monitoring and evaluation data, where your team go to the field, they collect the data, and put it in a data system. So the AI now going through the data will tell you that a total of 230 SMEs have been trained in the last 3 months. You can go on and prove further that, okay, can you provide me with a breakdown according to the gender of the owners? Then the AI will come back and tell you, please previous slide. The AI will come back and tell you that out of the 230, 147 are male-owned, and then the 83 are owned by females. This is information that the AI can easily give to you within a minute, because you have the data sitting there. So that's one of the revolutions that AI is bringing, making work easy for us to get insight from our data. The next scenario is for bid writing. Bid writing is a very key component of the operations of nonprofits, and in order to get the sponsorship that you need, your bid needs to be very solid. And you should also target the right people. You can't write a bid to an organization that is focused on education whilst you are looking at agriculture. So you need to align with whichever areas that the donor is targeting. So in order to do that, there are a lot of databases and information on the donors, what their interests are, and where they are pushing their money to. So as I mentioned earlier on, you can just use the AI to go through all this information. You can also feed the AI with your company profile, the CVs of your experts, and then ask the AI to write a proposal or a bid based on certain criteria. So when you give the AI that information, it can just give you a simple Word document or a PowerPoint document, well structured with the various sections of the proposal that is addressing the key concerns of the donor, and then also highlighting your capabilities so that your proposal will be a compelling one that the donor can easily buy into. And that's a key thing that AI can do. So let's look at our last use case. And the last use case is talking about how you use AI to streamline your data collection and reporting process. Data collection and reporting is a very key component of your operations. After going through all your activities, the monitoring evaluation team would go out there, collect the data, and then tell us whether you are meeting the indicators or not. And sometimes some of these data come in with a lot of anomalies, and then there are duplicates. So before you even put your data into reporting, you need to do data cleaning. And you can spend a lot of time sitting down, going through all these data, trying to figure out where the duplicates are, which data sets are outliers, and trying to streamline the data. But with AI, you can just simply plug an AI tool in there, look at the data, figure out which anomalies are in there, figure out which ones are duplicates, which ones are outliers, and then pull them out for you to make the necessary correction. Now, after correcting the data, it can go ahead and generate the graphs and the reports that you need for your monthly reporting or quarterly reporting. So it can even go ahead and create a dashboard showing you all the various insights that you can achieve from your data. So these are some of the use cases of AI within the nonprofit sector. And I'm sure after this presentation, we should all start thinking about how do we become more efficient with the things that we have. How do we involve some of these automated processes to cut down the time that we spend on doing tasks, and then also to free up more space to focus on more complex activities. So the last section that I'm going to talk about is how the AI is impacting the SDGs. All the things that I've spoken about, we are looking at how you use AI for your operations. But we should also not forget about how do we include AI in our interventions. We can't just use AI for our operations and leave it out in the intervention. So I was happy when someone was talking about the technologies that they are using in the schools to help them with the learning where they don't even need internet. These are some of the things that you want to be seeing more often, including technology, including AI in your intervention. So for the SDGs, I've just selected about 8 of them. I've just selected about 6 of them that I want to just give use cases of how AI is being implemented there. It can be used in all the 17, but then these are just use cases, trying to let you know that AI can be implemented everywhere, and we need to start looking at how do we include AI in our intervention planning. So the first one I'm looking at is the SDG 2, which is zero hunger. And in doing that, so there could be an intervention where you are using AI for precision farming. And I know that has already started in Ghana, because there are a lot of agri-techs around that are using AI with drones and other tools for precision farming. So if we are planning an intervention within the agriculture space, then let's start thinking about how do we include these AI tools in our intervention to help us achieve the right results. The next one is quality education. So as I mentioned, it was already said that AI is currently being used in some of the schools in the rural areas as part of the intervention. So it's a very good thing, and I would encourage us to continue doing that. SDG 6, which is clean water and sanitation. So we can also use AI to help with controlling flood. I know in Accra here, one thing that we are battling with, how to control the floods. And sometimes we are not even able to predict when the rains are coming and how the weather is going to be like. But AI is actually revolutionizing that area because it's learning from past data and then also looking at the various environmental conditions going around and making predictions that, okay, within the next few weeks, we are going to have heavy rains, so people can prepare for these floods. So these are some of the things that we can use AI to do on SDG 6. SDG 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So with this, what we are trying to say is we need to motivate the SMEs, especially the tech SMEs that are coming up, to focus on using AI for the SDG goals. There are a lot of tech startups coming up with a lot of AI stuff, but then the question is, how are they also contributing to the SDG goals? So if we have any SMEs that we are incubating or we are mentoring, we need to let them know that the SDG goals are important, so they should also look at how they include AI in achieving these goals. Number 12 is responsible consumption and production. So then again, this one we are talking about sustainability. How do we use AI to read the metrics around, to tell us whether we are achieving our sustainable goals, the net zero goals, are we achieving them or not? There are a lot of data out there that can actually speak to it, only if we use AI to learn from them, to analyze the data and make these decisions. Then the last one is life on land. So using the AI to control deforestation. And I know in Ghana, it's one big challenge that we are trying to fight, especially with Galamsey. But then with AI, so once we are able to get the various key stakeholders on board to fight against this deforestation and then the Galamsey, we can actually use AI to see which areas are being degraded. It can tell you the rate at which the forest is being cut down, and then you can now put together interventions to curb the situation. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Any questions? Okay, so there is a hand here and one back there.
So I just want to pick your thoughts on which AI tool will be best for bid writing.
Okay, so I have a couple of them. Let me just. So there are lots of AI tools that can write a bid. So there is the Proposify, and then there is also Proposal Genie. So all these are AI tools that can actually help you with your bid writing. But then there are a lot of them out there that you can just subscribe to any of them and use for your bid writing.
Can you repeat?
Repeat. Okay. So there is Proposal Genie. Yeah, Genie. Genie. There is Proposify. There is Hyperwrite AI. And then there is also Grant Writer AI. So the Grant Writer AI was made specially for non-profit organizations to help you write bids for your grants. Okay, so there's a question.
Good afternoon. My name is Kimberly. I'm from the United States. I'm a grant writer and been doing this for over 30 years. I have caution when it comes to AI and proposal writing. But number one, I wanted to say it's a great tool. I use ChatGPT every day. I call him Chapman. I use my ChatGPT because it helps me it's a good one, but you have to know the right prompts. So when it comes to proposal writing, it is a unique skill in that you can use those to help you get, we call them boilerplate. So just like just something to start off with. But I would beg you not to turn that in because there's a lot of nuances to it. And you need to find out what the funders are looking for. One of the things I want to recommend is that if you're going to use that, find out, ask the question, who around the world is doing what I'm doing? Because you'll find that organizations that are very successful are not in Ghana, they're not in West Africa. Many times you'll find in India, they're doing something very similar and they've gotten all this money. So you want to ask that question, who's doing this? What organizations around the world are the most qualified with the best practices? If you ask those questions, you'll get great prompts. They'll give you a lot of detail. It'll tell you exactly what they're doing. Sometimes it'll show you their model, their budget, everything. Take that information and start to develop your proposal. You don't want to just have it tell you an executive summary, because it comes across, I'm also one who's read for those, I've sat on both sides of the table, and immediately we will put the organizations, when you put in a proposal, this is very quick, they're going to score you. So you want to get a good score. So if you we can tell immediately that you put no effort into it. Okay, so I'm just warning you, don't just pay, and they're not cheap, these AI things. So just don't go out and buy one. And then think, oh, I'm going to get a proposal. We can tell immediately that someone else wrote that. Just like professors tell you, don't have AI write your paper, because they can tell immediately that you didn't write the paper. So that was my only caution.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I think that's a very good one. So AI is not going to do your work entirely for you. So in as much as the AI will generate content for you, you need to go through it and make sure that you are addressing the various areas that you need to address. So thank you very much for that submission.
Yes, thank you so much, Augustine, for that beautiful presentation. So I want to ask, are we at this stage where there's mind reality and AI is reality? And are we ever going to get to that place where AI's reality is now my reality? You understand that question?
Yes.
Okay, and then my second is, where do you draw the line when it comes to AI? Where do you draw the line between working smart and laziness? Thank you.
Thank you, that's a good question. So I will start with the last one. Okay. So working smart is trying to get results in a quicker time than you would have done using the normal process. So for instance, you have a lot of documents to review and pick key areas. You using AI does not make you lazy, but then it makes you smart because you need that document summarized for other purposes, maybe for a proposal or another thing. But when it becomes lazy is when you're actually supposed to read through the document and understand it yourself, but then you decide that, okay, well, let me just use the AI to summarize and read the summary. You get a summary all right, but then it wouldn't be as detailed as someone who has read the entire document. So you need to know when to fully use the AI and then when to also do the manual thing, because some of the things AI cannot do. Now, the first question, which was your reality and the AI reality. In as much as AI is trying to learn, AI can never be as smart as the human brain. Because AI is learning from us. Things that we can think about and do, AI cannot do. So the human brain is very powerful, and your reality will definitely be different from that of the AI. Because if you don't give the AI the information you have, it will never know. Because it's machine learning, deep learning, trying to learn from what you've done before that you are feeding it. So if you don't give AI the information, then it wouldn't be able to get it. So that's what I'm saying. People fear that AI will take their jobs, but we have to be in the position to control the AI. Because human beings created the AI, and we can control the AI in the direction that we want it to go. Thank you.
Thank you. I work with the Heart Group. It's a leadership, mentorship, and consulting agency. That's 22 years. And so my question is, I would really love to know your recommendation for the AI tool for data. Because that's 22 years of data. So I'd love to know what tools can be used for data collection analysis.
Okay, so when it comes to data collection, maybe I wouldn't speak specifically on AI, but then I'll just talk about the whole data collection and analysis process. And it was part of the earlier presentation I did last year. So the data collection process, there are different tools that you can use in between, starting from the point where you develop the data collection forms. So there is Google Toolbox, there is ODK, Collect, there is Microsoft Form, Google Form. All these are open source tools that you can use to collect your data. Now, after collecting the data, you need to have the data in a database. So for the databases, you can either use Google Spreadsheets to store your data. You can decide to use MySQL. You can decide to use SQL Server, depending on the quantum of data that you are dealing with, and then also the confidentiality. If you are dealing with very confidential information, then I wouldn't advise that you put it on a public domain, but then you would rather have your own private database where you store the data. After you've gotten your data, what you now need to do is to do data cleaning. Looking out for the outliers, the duplicates, and then clean your data before it gets into the analysis bit. So with the data cleaning, you can use Power Query. You can also use BigQuery, which is from Google. So Power Query is from Microsoft, BigQuery is from Google. And you can combine these tools with other automation tools to help with the project management. So once the data comes in and you are assigning it to people for them to validate the data, you can use Monday. You can also decide to use Microsoft Power Automate. All these tools can go through your data, pick out the anomalies, and then assign it to people that, after going through this data, we notice that these anomalies would not help with the analysis. So it would be assigned to someone, and then the person will go in there and either accept that data or reject that data or make some modification. So those are some of the automated tools. Then you now come to the last bit, which is your reporting. So the reporting, you can have Tableau, you can have Power BI, you can also have Google Looker Studio. All these are open source, with the exception of Tableau that you would have to pay for. Microsoft Power BI, so you have to pay for. But then these are tools that you can use at a very low cost. So you notice that I've described the entire data collection process with the tools that you can use in between, of which a lot of them are open source, and then there are also the automated ones in. So if you're able to build a data pipeline with all these tools, you know that at the end, you have quality data for your reporting. Thank you. Thank you very much. So that will be the last one.
Yeah, that'll be it.
Last question.
One more question, final question.
Okay, thank you very much. Just quick comment. There are a number of organizations that we tried reaching out to, and they gave us a signal that they do not allow, or they do not, how should I say, they will not receive anything that has to do with AI. So we have to also be mindful of that. Some organizations prohibit that. They want you to sit down and use your natural sense to put down. And then if they have somebody to help them, they will know what they have to say. Like that's mine. Oh, that's the target, right? It's like that. You know, I'm a CEO of organization, and we are partnering with international organizations, and they have these caveats anytime. There is this university we are working with. The university is in New Jersey, USA, and we are working on 2-year research on troposy system. Okay, finding out the victims and how we will be able to transform the life of the victims, and then also rebrand the troposy culture. Now, the university there decided to work on the proposal, whilst my organization based in Ghana is working on the data collection. That will be staged at the Waters Rain Hotel with PhD students and stuff like that. Now, over there, you know, US students, they've not been here in Ghana, they've not been to Ghana before. Some of the professors came here, we had a meeting at also one of their hotels. I realized that they relied on AI for the proposal writer. Now, AI will give you old data concerning troposis, especially if there is no writer or researcher who will come out with current research on such project. So, to their dismay, they got not current data so far as research was concerned. So with this, that's kind of an disadvantage that AI cannot give you. If you are lazy enough, it will give you enough old data. So you have to move an extra leg to work on getting current and realistic data and then edit it well to suit whatever you are working with. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So to address your last one, AI gives you what you feed it with. All right. So you're talking about the fact that the AI has old data on troposis, meaning you didn't provide it with. Nobody has written on it.
So to give you what it has,
Okay.
you have to go extra leg to work on what is really 22 years, 1 year or 6 months now.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe the last research was 2020.
Yeah, okay. I get you. So once you have that data from the last 2 years, it's just a matter of you feeding the AI with that data. Because a lot of these natural language models were built with data from maybe 2000, maybe from all the way from 2000 to 2022. So the most current ones, you may not get them. But if you have that information, then you feed your AI with the data. In the same way, you can have an article or something that you have developed. You can feed the AI with that information and then ask your question. So I get you. You don't have to fully rely on AI, but you need to make sure that you feed the AI with the right information. If you don't feed it well, it will not give you the right information. So that's a word of caution that I would want to give. Thank you very much.
Okay.